It's been said that there are three characteristics to find a niche that's a profitable and potential market niche for a product or service. First characteristic is that there are people out there with a desperate need for your product. That's the first thing. Are there people who are actually struggling with a problem that you can solve? I think that's really the single most important thing. The second thing is, do those people with that desperate need have any money to spend on that problem? Because of course there are many problems that people toil away under without their ability to cough up the change that would make a difference. And then the third characteristic is, are there enough desperate people with money in the marketplace who can actually spend and create a potential high revenue business for you? So I would ask whomever would like to go first, if you think that that's enough, or what you tack onto that, or do you agree, disagree, or want to modify that statement when you're searching for a niche?
So this is really a classic question that I actually asked myself when I started Blurb. My own story is I founded Blurb out of personal pain. I'm a photographer from a past life as well as entrepreneur, and I wanted to publish a book. Actually, I wanted to publish content. I was photographing fellow entrepreneurs that I had built companies with, and along the way they would tell me their stories, and honestly their stories were oftentimes better than the photographs I was taking of them. And I thought, oh, I wanted to share this back with this group of people. And my first instinct was to do a website, but then I thought, well, you can't gift a website. You know, that's like all wrong. So I thought, well, I'll make a book, you know, duh, right? And the hubris of the entrepreneur is that I thought I'd just go online and, you know, make a book, right? Well, this was back in 2003, and that wasn't possible to do. So then I spent the next year trying to, you know, look back on the web to see if that service, if a Blurb-like service was becoming available. And during that time, exactly what Susan said, I started to get a little pissed off that no one had done this. Because I thought, could I possibly be the only person who wants to publish in a book form where Simon & Schuster, you know, is not calling? Because, you know, the market for that book is all 40 people who are going to be in it, you know. And maybe their mother, right? Not a blockbuster, right? So I thought, well, you know, gee, you know, how could you build a business, a book business, where the idea is no longer traditional publishing business model if I need to sell 25,000 units? So the first question I asked was, are there other people who have content, who might want to shape it into a book for all kinds of reasons, which led me to the question of, and this is an addition I would make, why do they have this need? Not just they have a need, but why? And I realized, wow, sometimes it's just sharing, you know, intergenerational family books. Sometimes it's branding. I want to create a very personalized communication vehicle for my clients. Sometimes it's I want to raise money for a cause, for my school, for charity water, for whatever. And lastly, you know, there are a lot of authors out there who just would love to make a living or part of a living writing and selling their books. So I thought, okay, I think I've identified the who. I have some feel for the motivation. The next question was how could we efficiently reach them? Hello, people like Eventbrite. I mean, seriously, people were coming along who enabled social communities and meetups, either in person or offline. I thought, bingo, because we weren't going to raise $1 bajillion to go do, you know, media advertising, broadcast media advertising. So I realized through the internet and through social communities we could reach these people. And then actually, in my case, the last question for me was, would I go to jail?
Well, why? Tell us more about that.
Well, the copyright issue.
Copyright, of course, yeah.
Because if we did this right to scale, I have no idea if, you know, this picture, those are owned by the person who's submitting that.
Right.
And we could get sued. And I knew no VC would give me a dime if there was that kind of exposure for the company. So I want to call out a little shout out personally to the Cooley Godward people, because Cooley Godward are our attorneys and have been my attorneys through 3 companies, and I called them and I called in a favor, which was, can you guys help me figure out if I can go to jail if I do this business? And the answer was the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which is, I won't bore you, but it basically lays out best practices for people like us who basically don't see the products that come over the transom, and yet we have some best practices for how we would deal with that if there has been a copyright violation. So all of those things absolutely came into play for me. Who, what their motivations were, how could we efficiently reach them? Could I make money? Sorry, I forgot that one. Yeah. Do they have money? And could I make money on a book of one? And then lastly, would I go to jail?